Moving now to the situation in eastern Ukraine, it continues to grow more dangerous every day. The Ukrainian government accused Russia Wednesday of funneling more weapons into eastern Ukraine. Kiev says rebel fighters and Russian troops seized several villages in a new offensive. This renewed fighting further dampened hopes of a peaceful resolution one day after the Russian and Ukrainian presidents met face-to-face in the Belarus capital of Minsk. That meeting came as Ukraine said it captured 10 Russian soldiers in eastern Ukraine. Tammy Lynch is an independent research scholar on Ukraine, and she joins us on the phone from Boston to talk about these developments. Tammy, it's good to talk to you. Thanks for being here with us.
Thanks very much.
You know, Ukrainian government says that the Russians are sending in reinforcements, basically to tip the balance back into the favor of the rebels in Donetsk. Does that make sense to you? Does that seem likely?
Well, it's far more than that. Things are developing extremely quickly on the ground in the last 12 hours. Just a few hours ago, the Swedish Foreign Minister, Carl Bildt, actually confirmed what he called, quote, regular Russian forces that have now engaged the Ukrainian military on Ukrainian soil. The State Department is now saying that regular Russian forces, the Russian military, is now 50 miles within Ukraine. And we're very, very close to being... it's now very, very difficult not to say that Russia has invaded Ukraine.
Indeed. What do you think their end game is there? You know, certainly as the rebels first began to fight earlier this year, they pleaded with Russian President Vladimir Putin to send in reinforcements and to help them, and he hedged on that. I've read some places analysts say that he's trying to open up a land access to Crimea. What do you think, if in fact that's what this is, and it certainly does look like it, what's he hope to accomplish?
Well, I think the idea about the land access to Crimea is definitely one thing. I also think we need to remember that the, quote, separatists that were pleading with Russia to send troops actually now have been confirmed to have been Russian military members or, quote, former members. This all has been, since February, very cleverly designed by Russia to introduce troops into areas of the country that contain Ukraine's most industrialized area. There are pockets of gas. There's shelf gas. These are very, very lucrative areas of Ukraine, and if added to Russia, would greatly increase Russia's energy and resources wealth. And so it's a money game in a way, but in the process, thousands and thousands of people are being killed.
Tammy, you know, it seems to me that the toothpaste is out of the tube here. I don't know how Russia can deny its involvement in this conflict. So that being said, what is then the ramifications for global relations?
Well, I think an important point is that the international world order that was set up after World War II has now broken down. We now no longer see the inviolability of borders. If I'm a country and I don't like the people beside me and I just want to go in and take their territory, now this precedent has been set that it's okay to do so, and Europeans and even the U.S. will not respond. If I was a Baltic state or Poland or Georgia, I would be extremely worried because now clearly Russia has been appeased enough to believe that they can simply enter another country, invade another country, and take whatever territory they want. And this is a clear precedent not only for European countries, but also Africa, the Middle East. This is returning the world order to what it was before World War II. The inviolability of borders was thought to be one of the main reasons to stop another world war from happening, and now what we're seeing is that we're turning back the clock. This is extremely, extremely bad news for international security and European security in particular.
Yeah, so where does this leave Western leaders? You know, it would seem that sanctions, U.S. sanctions, which were the most stringent, have limited effect. Ukrainian soldiers, in many cases, are laying down their weapons and not so much surrendering, but retreating, refusing to fight. So what is the recourse here?
Well, it's actually, I wouldn't say that it was accurate that U.S. Sanctions are not working. In fact,
well, I didn't say that. I said had limited effect, but go ahead and make your point.
Actually, right, have limited effect. I'm sorry. They actually have had the U.S. sanctions themselves have had a pretty major effect on the banking system. The government has had to prop up the banks to a total of now $7 billion U.S. dollars. That's significant in Russia. But yes, what can be done? First of all, the Europeans have shown themselves to be absolutely weak and cowardly in the face of what amounts to a bully. That's what Russia is. They're a bully, and they will push until they are stopped. The U.S. Can do a number of things. They can make their sanctions more stringent. They have led the way on that, and they can continue to do so. They can also employ things like predator drones. The U.S. does not have to engage Russia militarily, but simply quietly sending drones, quietly showing President Putin that Ukraine, a close U.S. ally, will not be abandoned, would send a message and just may have an effect. The U.S. doesn't need to do it loudly. They don't need to, do anything publicly. But on the ground, sending things like drones, that could completely change the balance of power and make it very clear that the U.S. is not going to allow a return to the pre-World War II world order. And that is, and I hope that is being discussed right now because it has the potential to be very effective and very swift.
Tammy Lynch, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And this is Arise America.